How's it going, y'all? Rowdy Rouse back with another video, and this one is not a happy video. We are talking about Hasbro today. We are talking about the downfall, and a very fast, very swift downfall, and a very quick downward trajectory of one of the biggest toy companies ever, which is Hasbro, and they have just like destroyed any goodwill that they used to have. After the CEO passed away a couple years ago and the new guy took over, hates Power Rangers, hates toys, hates whatever, hates everything we love apparently, just completely down on quality, QC, fired 1,100 people right before the holidays. What is that? So we're going to get into Hasbro and why they're so grimy and why I'm trying to move my collecting away from Hasbro as much as I can. I know there's things you can't replace with them, like Marvel Legends and Star Wars and all that stuff. But they canceled two of the lines I really loved last year, so Power Rangers, Indiana Jones, so those are gone. But yeah, first of all, one of the main reasons they are so down bad right now is because during the pandemic, nothing got out to store shelves. The shelves were bare, no one could find everything. Everything was getting snatched and scalped by scalpers. So Hasbro, in these last couple years, have overcompensated for that fact. They have mass-produced everything, and when I say mass-produced, I mean overly mass-produced. That's why we have waves from last year, earlier in the year, etc. at Ollie's, at Ross, at Marshall's, places like that, outlet stores that buy things in bulk that don't sell or that are defective or whatever, and then they slash the price like in half, sometimes more than half, and they sell it. And it does way better there than it ever did in the stores. That being said, all the Eternal stuff is still sitting at my local Ollie's, so it doesn't all go away. But that's the first problem that Hasbro has had in these last couple years, and why they've just, screwed the pooch as far as production is concerned, is because, first of all, they overproduced everything, and secondly, they moved all of their production and all that stuff to different places, which is fair. Moving away from China is fine. But if you're not going to have the quality control and all that stuff to make sure the defective stuff doesn't get out there and the defective product is rooted out, then we're going to get problems like we have with the Lightning collection, where one wave was just completely horrendous with the Dino Fury Green Ranger and a couple other figures that were in that wave. They just had the worst quality control ever. And that's because Hasbro didn't care. They were like, let's cut cost. Let's cut shipping or production to somewhere else, because it's almost as much to produce in China as it is in America right now because of inflation and all that other stuff, economics. We're not going to get into that, but they're shipping to places like Vietnam, for instance, or some places are going to India, for instance, and while you can get the production, like the numbers out, the quality is not there. These are not places that are used to mass producing things like that, so you're going to get really bad quality. They're cutting the cost of plastics. All of this has to do with production and shipping, and that is one major reason that Hasbro is doing so bad and had to fire so many employees. Not because people don't want their products, not because people don't want toys, but because what they're making is too much and it's not up to quality that people are wanting. So it just sits there and goes to stores like Ollie's and Ross, etc.
Yeah, we're talking about Hasbro here. It's the maker of Dungeons and Dragons, My Little Pony. I'm sure you're familiar. It's really been struggling post-pandemic. You're seeing those struggles continue now today. So these planned job cuts are going to take place over the next 18 to 24 months. They include 200 jobs that were left over from a previous round of job cuts. That's expected to cost $134 million or so up front, and then save $100 million annually.
And then, of course, Hasbro doesn't listen to its fans. They don't listen to us. They don't even let our dollars speak anymore. When we don't buy stuff, they just double down and they're like, okay, let's do more of this. Let's people say they want, more Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or more Power Rangers in general. So let's just reproduce Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, call it remastered, and then end the line completely. And, not only that, we're going to start the final wave that we're going to talk about with new teams. We're going to start with RPM Yellow, Turbo Red, and what was the other one? Lightspeed Rescue Blue. 3 Rangers that don't have counterparts or teams other than Turbo having Phantom and Blue Centurion, but that doesn't really count. Those aren't main teams. So it's like, you're not listening to your fans. We want Power Rangers. We want more Power Rangers. Not only that, they're in control of production of the show, and they canceled it. There's no Power Rangers in production for the first time in 30 years. There's no plans to have a new show this year, so that really sucks. So you don't listen to your fans, for one, and then, you know, you have a great license like Indiana Jones, the vast library of characters, and you don't even include Willy and Mola Ram in the wave. Like, you're not listening to your fans. There's certain things and expectations that we have as fans that we want to see, and I bought every single Indiana Jones release. I just as well would have bought a Willy and a Mola Ram. Heck, you could have made 2 different versions and I would have got them. You know, that's just the kind of fan I am. But Hasbro doesn't listen to their fans. So when we talk about things like, hey, we don't want to buy a HasLab of a car for almost $500, and you're not even include anything else other than a car and some figures, that's not $500 worth. You know, you could have had another new motorcycle for Ghost Rider, Johnny Cash Ghost Rider. That's just an example. The HasLab did not fund. Another example is the Rancor. They didn't listen to fans. Fans said, we're not going to fund this if you don't make the Twi'lek slave girl. We're not going to fund this. We're not going to buy it. And guess what happened? It didn't get funded. Even with Hasbro doubling down and being like, well, we'll throw this and this in as well. It just didn't happen, and that's because Hasbro didn't listen to their fans. And those Star Wars Black Series HasLabs continue to fail simply because Hasbro doesn't listen to their fans. And it's really a shame because at a certain point they did. Like 5 years ago before COVID, and even in the middle of COVID, they were listening to their fans. They tried to get product out there. They tried to make more of it so fans would get it. And now we have just pre-orders backed up, and then they hit all at once. Wave after wave after wave of Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series, all this stuff just smacks everybody all at once. And then people don't have money to buy the stuff they really want at a reasonable pace. They're stuck, if they need it for completionists, whatever, they have to get all that stuff. They're just smacked in the face with a huge amount. Like, I can barely get figures anymore. I have to get like 1 or 2 a month. And that's not specifically Hasbro's fault. But when you have that production the way it is, and you're trying to take everyone's money in every direction, it kind of is your fault.
You mentioned the discrepancy here, the difference we're seeing in terms of the performance of Hasbro versus Mattel. Yes, they are both lower here this morning ahead of the open, but we can take a look at those year-to-date performances. That's where you're going to see a difference. Mattel shares still in the green for the year, up just about 6%, but you're comparing that to a 20% decline in Hasbro stock. So we're seeing some underperformance there from Hasbro.
And I'm not trying to be a crybaby, blah, blah, don't buy Hasbro, boycott. You can do whatever you want with your money. You can do whatever, you know, collect whatever you want with your interests and all that stuff. If Hasbro aligns with that, so be it. That just so happens to be the problem with me. There's a lot of stuff. Like I said, they ended Power Rangers and Indiana Jones, but I'm still going to get a Marvel Legend here or there. I'm still going to get Star Wars Black Series here or there. But that being said, my shelves are pretty full. I have basically everyone anyway. It should just be another iteration of another character until new stuff comes out anyway. So it's like, let me try to get some Jada toys. Let me try to get a Mythic Legion here or there. Let me try to get some cool, new, interesting stuff instead of giving my money to somebody who doesn't care about it and is just going to throw it at more stuff. They're licensing their products off to other people to produce the toys now. McFarlane has a G.I. Joe and Transformers license. They're promoting Super 7 Ultimate Power Rangers on their website on Hasbro Pulse, stuff like that. It's just like they don't want to make these toys anymore, and it's their fault that they're in this position. It's not because toys don't sell and toys are not profitable. It's because of the way that they're handling their business. It's just not how a fan wants to see the things they care about go down. And like, you know, they make the movies and all that stuff and make the money elsewhere and all that stuff. You can do that. But you need to continue to make the toys. You need to continue to improve. Like the G.I. Joe Classified series is like a prime example of what you should be doing with every single line. Pay the extra money for the accessories for Black Series and Marvel Legends. Pay the extra licensing fee. Do whatever you have to do to keep everything up to the quality of that thing, and they will sell. And also, yes, produce a lot, but don't triple the amount that you would have produced originally, because there's not that many people. Younger kids aren't collecting toys. It's adults. We're a very fine pool of adult collectors. There is some that get, you know, older and they're going to go into it. But right now, we're all at a certain age where we're looking for certain things. And if we're not going to get our needs met, we're going to go elsewhere. And then on top of that, Hasbro has the audacity to fire 1,100 workers right before the holidays. Like, that's terrible. That's just awful. Like, why would you do that? because you're losing money, you're gonna, instead of taking a pay cut, you're gonna fire a bunch of people who need their jobs and all that stuff. Like, it's just shameful. And this is a company that 5-6 years ago was rated one of the best companies to work for. I'm sure it's not rated that anymore. And that's when you start putting profits over people, and profits over consumers' wants and needs. And you get what Hasbro is doing, which is, well, unfortunately, when they fire people, their stock goes up. But overall, their stock was down. Their production was down. They're losing a lot of money. And that's because they're not handling things the way they should. They're not being a morally ethical company. And they're just cutting off the costs. Prime example being the package or plastic-free packaging you couldn't see the QC of and just get bump figures or swaps and all that stuff. Just not seeing where their money's going, and it's because we're not going to give it to you if you're not making what we want. So yeah, that's really all. It's been a video I've been putting off because I'm like, is there enough to talk about? Yeah, there was enough to talk about, I think. So yeah, if you agree, if you disagree, whatever, let me know in the comments. Definitely like the video either way, because I need that in my algorithm. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. Also, Patreon, the link is down below. Blah, 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 blah. Patreon, the link is down below. So it's $1 a month. You get all the videos early before they go up on YouTube. They will be up on Patreon. Doesn't a couple days, couple weeks, couple hours. They'll go up there first. So if you're subscribed for $1 a month on Patreon, you'll see it first. So do all that stuff. Let me know how your day is going. I love you. I will see you next time, and bye-bye. Mwah.